One of my favourite things about having a gaming channel is discovering interesting topics to talk about with you guys. Not everything I talk about is personal gaming memories, far from it. And sometimes when searching the World Wide Web for information regarding a certain video, I come across something that truly grabs me in a way that makes me say, oh yes. Today on Slope's Game Room, I want to talk about Sega's first ever mascot. Now obviously, I'm not talking about Sonic, I'm not talking about Alex Kidd, and nope, I'm not talking about Hapa. Today, we need to go way back. Now in the past, I've brought up several times about how Sega literally changed my life with Sonic the Hedgehog. I was obsessed. I hated spicy food, but chili dogs were all I ever asked for. That was unless I was able to get my hands on some nice Sonic-shaped spaghetti. Sega is everything to me, even nowadays. Heck, 80% of my channel up to this date revolves around the Sega glory days. I've talked about classic Sega IPs that never got sequels, and as you can imagine, I've talked about Sega's first gaming mascot, Hapa, and Alex Kidd. But these mascots started life either in the arcades in the mid-80s and or the Master System, aka the Sega Mark III. Did you hear that? The Mark III. Yes, even though to most of the world Sega's Master System was the first time we ever played on a Sega system, it was actually the third game system released by Sega. So before the Master System, aka the Mark III, you had the SG-1000 Mark II, and then you guessed it, the SG-1000. This was the first system released by the company, and like I've said in the past, it's actually quite a cool little console with some absolute gems on it. And it's no surprise if you've watched my channel for a while, my personal favourite on the system is the Sega Ninja Princess. Anyway, the very first game released on the system in 1983 was Borderline. And just while we're talking about Borderline, this wasn't only the first Sega game released on a Sega console, it was also the first Sega game with a soundtrack. But what does this all have to do with Sega's first mascot, I hear you ask impatiently? Well, it was actually in the game's booklet that we got to see this, Sega's first mascot. Professor Azabin. Yep, you are looking at the face of Sega's first ever mascot, which is over 30 years old. So who is he? Professor Azabin was an anthropomorphic rabbit that appeared in almost every single gaming manual towards the back, giving advice and tips to the readers on how to beat the game. Not much else is really known on who made this character, or why, but it is believed that he's modelled after the White Rabbit from Alice in Wonderland. Here is his advice translated from Yu Suzuki's first game Champion Boxing.
Aim to attack right when your opponent lets his guard down. If you're able to guard your opponent's punch, you won't receive any damage. If you continuously perform the same punch over and over again, you'll be blocked by your opponent more frequently.
So there you go. This is Professor Azabin. Like I said, he was in the manuals to almost all of the games for the SG-1000, until he was eventually taken over by Sega's second mascot. No, not Hapa, but instead Dr. Games. Here's some help from Dr. Games translated from the game Zaxxon.
Within the alien city is a big chance to replenish your fuel. Destroy the oil tanks. Don't be thrown off by the enemy's movements. Keep your cool and you'll come to recognize their patterns.
Now if you're recognising this guy, but don't recognise the name Dr. Games, then you may recognise him as Professor Player, which is what his name was known as to the rest of the world. However, it was not long until Sega fans wanted their little bunny back, and Professor Azabin returned all the way up to the Mega Drive days with the re-release of this Phantasy Star game, which came out in 1994, where you can see him promoting premium helpline numbers. And that was the last time we ever got to see Professor Azabin, until the Dreamcast. Sega Gaga. This game, as you may already know, is a perfect homage to everything Sega. It came out right at the end of the Dreamcast life, and basically revolves around you working with Sega trying to get their market share back. It has cameos from popular and not so popular franchises and IPs, and you guessed it, Professor Azabin makes an appearance helping the main character through the game. It's a short little cameo, but very, very welcome. Okay, so what you're looking at here is Sega Hard Girls. This is an anime that came out in 2014, and if you're a fan of Sega, this is absolutely crazy. Okay, so what we got here are these three girls. You've got Dreamcast, Sega Saturn, and Mega Drive. I'm not making this up. Basically, they must graduate from Sega Gaga Academy by collecting 100 medals, doing all Sega related stuff. Like getting sucked into a virtual fighter game where they go up against loads of Sega mascots, including Alex Kidd. Or how about this episode where they're working with Ooh La La from Space Channel 5? How crazy is this? The show is absolutely chock-a-block with Sega references, which a lot of the time are there to take the mickey out of Sega themselves. Like this bit here where Dreamcast is trying to connect to the internet, but then realises that it's during the day, so can't afford the daytime dial-up rate, and decides it's best to log on after 7 PM. A little old school joke that anyone back in the day will definitely get a kick out of. The craziness goes on. You have loads of other characters in this series too, such as Sega Mark III, Master System, Game Gear, Robo Picture, Visual Memory, SC3000, Mega CD, Mega Drive 2, Mega CD 2, Super 32X, Terra Drive, and probably best of all is the self-obsessed American cowgirl with the nickname Jenny. Her full name is Genesis. So anyway, back to Professor Azabin. As you'd expect, he makes a nice little appearance in this. One of the teachers in Sega Gaga University is Senta Sensei, who is basically a teacher Skyping to the students via a television screen, with Professor Azabin as his avatar. And what's better than this, spoiler alert, is that the girls eventually find out that the person that's teaching them is none other than Yuji Naka of Sonic fame. So as you'd expect, being a big Sega fan, I've got a big kick out of this one. It's absolutely nuts. It's been translated too, so if you can get hold of it, definitely check it out. So, that was it for the life of Professor Azabin and Dr. Games. Where did they come from? Who designed them? Will we ever see them again? We may never know the answer to these questions, but I do hope that this video has helped shine some light onto what was Sega's first ever mascot. Hey guys, thanks for watching my review. I want to firstly give a massive shout out to Import Gaming for the win. The video you see right in the middle at the top is one of his videos. It's the one that really caught me to his channel. The reason why I'm giving him a shout out is he was the guy that actually translated Professor Azabin and Dr. Games translations from those manuals for me to use in this video. I highly suggest you check out his channel. The one that you're seeing up there was the one that introduced me to his channel, and I think it's a great place to start. Other than that, if you want to check out a couple of my videos, top left you got my most recent Slopes Game Room episode, which is the complete history of Alex Kidd, and top right you've got the Sega Ninja Princess. A couple of videos that if you're a fan of retro Sega, then you're definitely going to get a kick out of. I want to give a big shout out to all my Patreons who get the chance to watch these videos early. If you want to become a Patreon, click that lovely P shape right in the middle of the screen. You can follow me on social media, as long as it's Facebook and Twitter, by searching for Slopes Game Room. There's the subscribe button there. Don't forget to like, favourite, tell your friends, and that's it from me. So this is DJ Slopes signing out, and hopefully I'll see you all next time.